Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is Jonas, reporters for the 18th. And as we go into the Good Friday little mini Easter break, a little bit of softness. Not surprising, we were seeing a little bit of weakness from our short-term buyers as they faded off from the last couple of days as we were hitting it. But they weren't seeing any major movement from shorts or anything like that. So we were expecting at least the ABM yellow, and actually we got a little bit more than the ABM yellow because that was right around the 95 range, and we'd already had the other previous extremes that we were looking at. So it's still consistent with what we've seen, which is this slow up move, and that's just because there aren't enough shorts to really propel this into a new higher range. And you can see with the NASDAQ, we saw that they were already in a much broader positive range. And that still hasn't changed a lot, even though we did meet here with the steel a little bit of rejection, so that's also just a slight soft spot. Nothing overly dire. A little bit of that was exacerbated by the inability for the euro to break past that 50, which we didn't expect because we were looking for it to meet that 50 and come back a little bit. So it's doing just that. No problems there either. So all pretty consistent. You're not going to get anything from gold out of this setup, so we're just kind of in a neutral. Of course, you get the Mueller report, things like that coming, so there may be just some, hesitancy plus where we are in the month. All combined, we had that buy signals that came from the previous day, and then as we got up there, we ended up with this meat reject that took place right here. That's the early signal right at the ABM. If you wanted to wait for the full DOC spread, it happened the bar before this one, and then officially where you meet the gold and Azure, which was still before we broke down below the negative 15, the positive 15 on the shakeout. So that's where you get even another couple bars before it turns full red right there. And that was led all the way back to the retrace of exactly that 2905. And then we kind of hovered there. We couldn't really see any strong push from any of it. And we just kept going into negative shakeouts from there. And so it was just a bounce back and forth. And then we finally were into pretty decent weakness by the time we get the buys that started early here. You can see it just faded off once we broke to this short spread with this cyan really taking strong lead over there. And no reset of the, see, this important one always I keep pointing out, when you don't get the steel coming below red and then back above, you get into continuation mode. And so the continuation mode in this case is continuation south, and that's exactly what it did. And here we are right now, producing a little bit of a return back after being in deep red. We have quite the crossover right there. Well, I can't quite get it into the frame for you to see. If it stays up there, we'll be able to see it. 14 to 13, still only about 1 point right there. Currently, we're at 3 points on this bar, so certainly qualifies in that particular stance. And see if it's got enough legs. Probably get to 50%, and we'll see about weakness. We're already seeing near positive extremes, so not looking for it to do anything super incredible. So all in all, just clean ranges. I think that the distance between some of these is pretty good. We got right up to what I was expecting, right in that 29-20 range before just loses steam, and that's just a typical reaction. I know it seems old hack for us, but for some people it's just like a crazy thing that we can see that these things are going to happen and they're right at these ranges. But they do it over and over again, and particularly when it's near specific algo breakouts in that we see. We also had that other one at 11, which is right where we ended up pretty close to that near-term breakout. I would just keep going with what our signals give us because we could get a little bit of exacerbated moves one way or another just because they're testing the peak range at this. So I think it's just worth going with what the current read is and just following with it. As always, though, if there was anything significant, these are all pretty straightforward signals. There wasn't anything unique about any of them. Just it's important to note that when they do the same thing over, you're able to see it, particularly when you get a reset like this and you don't have that dip of that steel coming back underneath, or at least for that steel to jump back above like what it did over here would have been the first time that maybe you were going to get some stabilization after this dip. But there was no orange reset that gave it enough, and that's why it continued to cascade. So, all in all, that's where we're currently at. This is the regular one with the gain function pay par. And likewise, pretty consistent with it. As always, though, I will show anything else, but with the holiday of everyone, hope everyone has a great Passover and Easter break, and we'll be right back at it when it begins again. With my girls off, I may let you know if there's going to be a couple days that I may be gone, if we're doing a little trip or whatever during their Easter holiday, but I will let you know in advance. As always, though, trade well, and we'll talk to you later.